What this person is asking about is compensation. And compensation happens when you adjust the length of your stitches in a needlepoint decorative stitch. So whether you're doing Nabucco or brick, if you're doing Parisian, if you're doing diagonal scotch, if you're doing regular scotch, if you're doing mosaic, whatever you're doing, whatever stitch it is, you're adjusting it in order to fit into whatever shape it is that you're stitching. So let me demonstrate it. So here I'm demonstrating the diagonal scotch stitch, and I'm using the Needlepoint Beginner Stitch Sampler class canvas to demonstrate the compensation really quick. I like this canvas because the decorative stitches are painted onto the canvas so that you can see exactly where each stitch needs to go. It's a great learning tool and also a good visual aid, so that's why I'm using it here. So here we're going to continue the pattern, so it's 1, 2, over 2, and then the next stitch is supposed to be over 3, but as you can see, the pattern actually ends. So we're gonna just go over 2, or we're gonna keep in our mind that that was supposed to be over 3. The next stitch is supposed to be over 2, but the pattern ends, so we can't continue. So it's gonna end right here. So it's supposed to be over 1, over 2, over 3, over 2, over 1. So this stitch right here is supposed to be the over 1. But since we don't get that, or we don't know that, then we're not going to do it. But that's how you compensate there. Now when you are coming down on the next row, you know where you're going because you know that that is number 3. And so this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, and so you can kind of work backwards. So from there then you would just have 1, 2, 3. And on the beginner stitch sampler it is nice because you can see like where the stitch is because it's so clearly painted. So that means on this edge too, I skipped doing it just so that I could get the motif down. But you see that here you're left with a single, and we know that it's going to be 1 and then over 2 and then over 3. But since it's right on the edge, we're just going to do single stitches over 2. That's supposed to be over 2, but we're going over 1. And this is supposed to be going over 3, but we're going over 1 again. And then when you go on the row underneath, you'll know where you are. So that's supposed to be number 3, so that means this is going to be number 1. And I'm just going to work the edge here just so you can see the different ways that it could go. So that's over 1, that's over 2, and that's over 3, even though we're now on the edge, so that third one gets cut off, and then over 2, even though it's over 1 now, and then it's over 1. So you just always have to keep in mind, like, where is your pattern? You should, as you're stitching a decorative stitch, you should have the pattern of the stitch memorized anyways as you go. So with a diagonal scotch stitch, for example, you know that you're always going over 1, over 2, over 3, over 2, over 1, over 2, over 3, over 2, over 1, over 1, over 2, over 3, over 2, over 1. So that's in your brain over and over and over again. So that means when you get to an edge where it can't possibly fit how it's supposed to fit, then you just shorten it. You can see where it was over 1, over 2, over 3, over 2, over 1, over 2, and then you can't do the over 3 because that's not painted, so you just have to do over 2. Okay, this one ends perfectly, over 1, over 2, over 3, over 2, over 1, and that's perfect. But then up above it, there's a little bit of an awkward space that doesn't really fit because it's just one little stitch, and it's supposed to be an over 3 stitch, but it's just 1. So that's supposed to be an over 3 stitch, but it's just 1, and then you get the pattern back right here, over 2, over 1. This row right here, you've got over 1, over 2, over 3, over 2, over 1. And then it's supposed to be over 2, over 3, but it's just single stitches because you're filling in where that needs to go.